Away. So I think we're live and
Live?
Yep,
Smile, Patrick.
you're on candid camera. To show up my age.
Oh, no, you're not 90 though.
Call to order the Industrial Development Agency Board of Directors. First item, roll call
Mr. Burton,
here.
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Mr. McAllister, Mr. Trapani.
Here,
Second item, reading and approval of the minutes of April 18th, 2024. Thanks a motion.
I'll move the acceptance of the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
All opposed? Hearing none, minutes are approved. Item 3, bills and communications.
I have none to present, sir.
Report of the treasurer.
I would ask your attention to tab 2. These are quarterly financials as of the end of March, so really covering, encapsulating quarters 1, 2, and 3. Sure, come on in, Mr. Cho.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it looks like.
Just a question I had, on page 3, the 203,458 is coming due in, June 17th, is that correct?
That is correct, yep.
And what was the term on that?
It was a 2-year term at 4%.
What are we gonna do on that?
I guess the question is, do we want to put that to bed for a longer term or a short term? My guess is we'll get something in the 5% range.
So short,
So the
if you go
question is,
over a year, you're not gonna get. Yeah,
may not get 5, okay.
but certainly,
So the previous hundred and some $1,000 that came due, I think it was March. We were able to put that to bed 2 years at over 5%. So I guess my recommendation would be to go longer term with this. If you can get the rate.
why don't you give us some rates around, you know, a week? Some, does that all make sense or doesn't?
Actually, this will come due just a couple of days before the June meeting. So I don't think it's 2 or 3 days interest isn't going to make a difference to make the right decision.
Okay,
So we'll gather some info and then we'll present it and then you folks can make a decision.
great, thanks.
So just a couple of things to point out on the balance sheet. You can see total assets are up $220,000 versus previous year. That mostly has to do with the sale of property and the difference in interest rate year over year. Liabilities are up, of course, based on retirement accruals and payrolls mostly. On the income statement, you can see that through March, the organization booked about $20,000 in interest income, and that's obviously because rates are significantly higher than they were year over year. Obviously, on the expense side, having a full-time IDA director and doing full-time work means your expenses are going to go up. A lot of it is one-time expenses, getting technology equipment and things up and running. A lot of those are going to fall away for next year. If you were to back out on the P&L, the property sale proceeds, you're looking at a loss of roughly $8,000 versus last year of $65,000. But obviously the county's contribution this year that didn't happen last year has a lot to do with that more positive number. And those are the highlights on that.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow what you just said. Where are we looking?
If you looked at the P&Ls,
Yeah.
last sheet, so that says actually 2 of 2.
Oh, 2 of 2, okay.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay,
the second
sorry
2
about
of
that.
2.
Yeah.
Where it says net income 232,776 versus negative 65,287. It's not really an apples to apples comparison because we've got a proceeds of the sale of the
Yeah.
property. So I was just saying, if you back that out,
Okay, now I see it.
more apples to apples. It's still not apples to apples because of the county money, but it's quote crab apple to apple, I suppose. Sorry, Leo. You're gonna kick me. You're gonna kick me at some point in time. It's like our old finance days, us sitting next to each other.
So any further question on financials? We're waiting till next meeting to determine what to do with that one. Okay,
Could I get a motion to accept the financials, Mr. Chairman?
sure. Do I have a motion? I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
All opposed? Hearing none, quarterly financial is approved.
Thank you very much.
Committee reports, governance,
Did not meet,
audit committee,
did not meet,
finance committee,
did not meet.
unfinished business.
Sure, the first item of unfinished business, loan program disposition. You'll recall, I don't think it was last month, I think it was previous month. We talked about the fact that we had two loan programs from a long time ago, a micro loan program and a revolving loan program. And we talked about what happened over the years about that and that there's an actual positive balance. We have since cut a check to the county who will reimburse the state. And both of those programs should be closed and done with, but there are additional cash assets that are in our possession that, according to our auditor, do belong to the IDA, as well as some other incoming loans month after month that will come in. We talked about we could do different things with those dollars, but my recommendation, and I'll ask you for a motion if the board agrees, is to consider those dollars IDA operational dollars, combine them into our general checking account and utilize them for operational expenses moving forward. I don't think it's a large enough amount to consider another loan program. I think we've got about 40 grand all in right now. We'll get periodically every month a little bit more money. I think the cash flow and that's about $1,600, but we don't have a big pool of dollars to actually loan out. So I think trying to create a really small program doesn't make a lot of sense. What we could do as an IDA is go after, in coordination with the county, a micro enterprise loan program that will give you a larger pool of funds if that's the direction you want to go with. But this is a small amount of dollars. I don't think there's anything feasible we can do with those dollars. And so I would ask that the board accept the auditor's opinion that these are IDA operational dollars and just eliminate all of the checking accounts that these dollars are flowing into, put it all into the general fund and then move forward, kind of really erasing the board and starting from scratch.
are these going to be continuous? Are we going to get more of those? Or was that just, I remember, I vaguely recall we had the state, we owed them, I don't know, 16,000 in that area, right?
Yep.
And you said we paid that. So, and then we have other monies that are ours. Will those monies be coming in every month from loans?
Yeah, so there's roughly every month we get about $1,600.
So that will continue.
And that will continue.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Any further discussion on that?
I'll move to follow that advice and put it in the operational funds. And then at some point, if we want to pursue a loan program, either with the state, the county, or whoever, we can do that. So I think that's Fonda's advice is good.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. Motion approved.
Right, thank you.
Second item of unfinished business, I'll give you just a quick update on Shad Point. The application, Fast New York Track B, did go in last week. The ask is $390,700. So it's been submitted. I haven't obviously received any feedback yet. It's a little early. Just to also work on your recollection skills. We did receive a National Grid Economic Development Grant for similar tasks up to $88,200. Those dollars we won't see until the site is designated by New York State as shovel ready. But there is potentially significant reimbursement for the pre-engineering and due diligence costs for Shad Point, which will free up additional ARPA dollars to be able to put towards infrastructure.
So that expected decision on the first one.
I can't give you a timeline. when we talked originally with ESD, they did say they would expedite our application. When the application was submitted, I did follow up with our contact at ESD just to let them know it's in there, in the queue, if you will. I did not get anything back, but that doesn't mean that wasn't read and working through. I will say the first step in doing this is sending a letter of intent. And generally, after you send it, they take 30 days to respond, and they responded within a week. So if that expediting happens with this as it did with the letter of intent, then that's a nice win. So we'll see where it goes.
Fonda, what's the amount from ESD track B is how much?
Our ask is $390,700.
From HIPAA,
National Grid,
yeah.
88,200.
And that would come in at the end of the,
It's all gonna come in the end. So I just wanted to let the board know that those were in process, and we'll continue to update that and keep good track of that. Just to let you know that I have entered into contract talks with Scannell. And I do have some deliverables to provide to them, but we've had some nice discussions, and I think the contract negotiations, at least peer to peer, will go very smoothly. When it goes to lawyers, you know, all that may end, but it's been very amicable, very easy to discuss, and so I will look to close that up, obviously, as quickly as possible. Something also very interesting that I want to make the board aware of is that the Scannell representative has reached out to the property owner to the west. So closer to Mineral Springs Road, to see if we could, or they could co-market both properties. The owner of the property said yes. And so what Scannell has done is they've done a markup. And it has expanded the size of the building to about 1.1 million square feet.
How much land is that you're talking about, the additional property?
It's slightly over 100 acres.
Oh,
But there are some topography issues there.
yeah.
As you know, but I think the goal there was to try and get that space to get over that magic 1 million square feet.
Mhm.
So they were able to do that. And so that may open up some additional markets. So we'll see where it goes, but I did think it was important to inform the board that there could be some other things. And the nice thing about that is, you know, we didn't have to do any options. It would, you know, the owner has obviously, I think everybody knows who the owner is, and he has a deep affection for the community and wants to see things happen. So him agreeing to that, I thought, was extremely magnanimous.
we have to be very careful that none of the ARPA money gets involved with any due diligence on that property, right?
I don't think we have to worry about that. Because we were talking about, if you'll recall, the property, the 30 acres across the street that Van Dyke Enterprises owns. And my initial conversations with the county was that we would be allowed to use ARPA dollars for anything that we did over on that side too, and you know.
But I know that there's some concern that's been expressed at Economic Development Committee meetings about expending those funds much more quickly than seems to be going on. What is your take on that?
I think that the treasurer's office who's running this and for the county is taking a very conservative stance on not necessarily spending, but having those funds committed. And so I think what they are looking for is to have contracts in place for every end user. And I think that's a misinterpretation of the interim final rule. I've had conversations with the chairman of the Economic Development Committee about this. And I think we've got lots of time to work through that and get some opinions. Obviously, the time will go quickly. It's already May. But I'm hopeful that we can find a happy medium that makes sure that we can expend the funds in an efficient manner and an effective manner without having to go to extremes to follow the letter of the
The
law.
federal rule is the money has to be encumbered by the end of 2024.
Right.
So that seems, for the end user, that seems almost impossible to achieve.
Well, no matter what, it will be achieved, whether the money is as effectively allocated as it could have been, that's my question. Can we find somebody to contract with or the county contract with? However that structure works to spend the $1 million, that's not gonna be a problem. Everybody's looking for more business. My contention is that if you have one overarching contract, that should be good enough. And I've run that by our folks at MRB, who do this for a living for and do it in many communities, and they agree with me. So I think if we get to that point, we'll have plenty of ammunition.
It was always my understanding, but it's obviously wrong, that allocating $1 million to IDA would be encumbered, and that would take care of that problem. The treasurer does not view that as the case. Is that true?
I think that for the most part is a true statement. There may be some nuances there but if we were gonna do a cut and dry one sentence, I think that's a fair statement to make.
And that's sort of a fallback position for everybody, that the money has been encumbered by allotting it to the IDA.
So right now, there's a letter that commits the dollars, but no contract. So we're in pretty good shape as far as we know we've got this $1 million. We've been drawing off it, right? So it's not $1 million anymore. The next step, I think, is
A contract.
yeah, we've got to get everybody on the same page, and then we've got some time to do that. And that's one of the loose ends I'll do my best to get squared away before the end of June.
We have a letter, which is,
It's a good start.
Yeah, I mean-
It's not that you won't get that full $1 million or whatever's left at it. It's a question of, what do we do between now and the end of the year to quote encumber what that process looks like. And I think there's just a little confusion on how each side is looking at it, and we'll work through that. And we're all on first name basis, so it's not a big deal. We'll get through it.
Outside SharePoint.
No, sir.
Exercise recap.
Yeah, so a demand letter went out, as you can see, Richard Cho is here representing Sharon Springs Incorporated. We welcome him to the meeting. Thanks for coming. So I've met with Mr. Cho and his father and their team, their legal team represented by Joanne Crum, which I think is a good move for them. So they have a significant local contact. The owner is willing to comply with the demand letter. The amount owed is roughly $56,000. But the owner has asked to do some payments over time to repay. So it's not a question of them committing to repayment. They just aren't capable or able to at this point via cash flow to write the full amount of the check. If we will want to probably talk about the details of that, and I can share the letter, but that's something I believe should be done in executive session. But Mr. Cho is here, and I don't know if you wanted to give him a minute or two to address the board. That's up to you, Chet, as the chairman.
Is that what you're here for?
Well, if you allow me, then that would be great thing.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, it's greeting. It's been quite a while since I've last seen everybody here. I've actually met Mr. Fondas, I think, only 2 times in the past couple of weeks. He told me, and I do understand, that the pilot has been over, it's complete, and there's nothing that I can do to change that. And you do understand that quite a lot of time has passed, me and my father especially, that since we've applied for this pilot program, and that the amount to be owed is nothing that we can really negotiate. However, something that me and my father do want to ask, if possible, is right now we would like to do a payment plan, which I gave the details to Mr. Fondas over here. Basically, it is to pay for 10,000 down, and hopefully the rest in around 6 to 7 months. There's more specific details later that we can ask for Mr. Fondas. The reason that I'm asking if this is possible is me, my father, and the rest of Sharon Springs, we do not consider ourselves a failed project yet, although it is still ongoing, has been for quite a long time. I do understand the frustrations that has come with it. We received our NPS letter in November of 2020, which basically is the ultimate jurisdiction regarding all different types of permits. So long story short, we weren't able to really do any construction before we got that permit. And then after that permit came out, it was COVID and other difficulties. So we understand, all right, there are unfortunate circumstances, there are things that we could have done better. However, I feel like a pilot program that we applied for in the wrong time. And in the future, I would be very happy if we can work together for a different pilot program. Like I mentioned before, we do not plan on dropping this project at all. We actually have 2 LOIs from different banks and hopefully another third one that is very interested. We have a lot of relationships with them regarding our tour company, main source of income. So a lot of work has already been completed. Nothing so before other than the ones that you guys have probably already seen since around 2020, right? I would estimate I can show you around $5 to $7 million worth of work that's been completed since then. However, right now we're planning to open small. It wouldn't be 40 jobs like the original pilot program was supposed to be designed for. To be honest, it's just stage 1, which is only one of the 3 main buildings to be opened as a 10-room hotel. Also, the bottom floor would be a day spa and added a restaurant and some other amenities, spa clubs, pool houses. And currently, we have been working with SUNY of Cobblescale as well. I think you guys might have a relationship with Scott Ferguson, and I think here previously. So he's been helping us rather it be just work on our LOIs or just banking relationships. He came to us and we decided that he said he will do advisory work for us free, and we decided to jump on that opportunity. So right now we're working with Scott. Basically, we applied for a building permit actually July of last year. So this is where we currently stand. We applied for a building permit and we were forced to give these permits, the building plans to an outside engineer group, which we have handed them last month. And now we're waiting on a reply for them. And once we get a reply for them, we go back to the planning board for a final okay. And after that, we estimate around, to be honest, around 5 months, but we put 6 just to be sure for the LOI and for the LOI money to come in. And after that, we can start voting right away. So
What do you expect the cost would be to the additional, you spent 5 to 7 million, right?
yes, sir.
So how much more do you estimate to get that phase 1, the newer phase 1, more limited one?
Phase 1. Phase 1, to be quite honest, the first original $5 million, you can just consider it all as pipe work and foundation groundwork, structural remediation. So for all the buildings have all the pipe work and the structural work finished. So for phase 1, it actually wouldn't cost that much money. There's a lot of, you have to fix the facade a bit, you have to buy the furniture, hard costs, all cost, everything included. We're estimating around 4 or 5 million, 4 million.
And you have financing lined up for that?
Yes, we do have the LOIs, which are
LOIs,
Contingent.
letters of intent, right?
yes, contingent on us getting this permit.
Ah,
Yes, we are at the final stage. We've passed by the public hearing already, where their village attorney says you have to hand these building plans over to an outside architect engineer, and they shall get the okay. And once they get the okay, it should take around a month for us to wait to the next planning board meeting. And from there, there's really nothing else that we can.
if we asked you for copies of those letters of intent, you would be able to supply them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't need them. I don't need,
No, you don't
I don't need you to take them out. I'm just, doing our own. So
Just email them to me.
Yeah,
And I'll make sure the board gets them.
yeah, right. Okay. Interesting.
the permit we applied for, by the way, is just the building for now. And then we're going to apply for a second permit for for the restaurant, so it's going to be. But they're both in phase one, but we like to call it phase 1A, phase 1B. Primarily because the village takes quite a long time with working with the permits. We applied for this permit last year, really. But once we can finish the building permit at least, then we can start construction right away. That's the plan. If we include the restaurant, then it's going to be wishy-washy with the village planning board, so.
Let's see it happen.
Is there any other questions that?
Seeing none? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So much.
Go back to the loan. Go back to. $60,000.
56,000 and change, yeah.
And you're gonna put 10 down now.
Yes, sir.
The only way I would consider it is if you said we do 10 every year, every month until we got it done.
So I understand, obviously, that it has been quite a while, but for us as an ongoing project, especially without the financing we have now. To be frank, $10,000 feels like $1 million. We're hoping to do 10,000 every right now as an injection, and by January, if that's not, the permit doesn't come out, we don't get the funding, then we can just do all the 3 months $3,000 every month until the injection comes out. But if the LOIs get canceled or whatsoever, then there will be a full payment as well. As well as if the money we get from the loan comes out, then within a month, once we get the funding, we can also pay that all back as well.
If you get your permits though, then the letter of intent would kick in.
Yes, sir.
The financing would kick in, and then you could pay that loan. You could pay that loan.
Well, it's not a loan. I just want to make sure it's clear.
I'm sorry, not the loan,
Yeah,
the
this is the-
56,000, that
Yes.
the recapture.
Yeah, I just want to make sure for the
Yeah,
record.
you're right, thank you for clarifying.
No, that's okay.
But if you get the permits, the letter of intent would kick in, the financing would kick in, therefore you would have the money to pay the whole balance of this loan.
Yes, sir.
Not in time, I personally would want the balance paid.
Yes, sir. So it's in the letter that I sent Mr. Fondas, it was actually we're estimating around 2 more months for the permit. Just to be safe, I'm estimating actually 1 month, but just to be safe, 8 months. And once again, just to be safe, 6 months for the loan to come out. However, the loan does come out before 6 months, then it's also within 1 month of the loan coming out that we would pay the remaining balance. So let's say we finish the permit next month and the loan money comes out a month after that, then it wouldn't be in January, it would be right after 2 months.
Any further question on this?
So given that this could end up being more of a negotiation, if we want to park this for now and bring it into executive session, that would be my suggestion.
And of course,
We move on to the next item then.
Sure, the next item is the sharing warehouse, and again, given that this is similar to contract negotiations, I would ask that we go into executive session for that as well at the end of the meeting.
Okay,
The only other item would be, sorry, new business.
new business.
I jumped the gun on that, my apologies. And our ongoing strategic planning process, I did provide in the packet that you received, the fair weather reports section on SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's tab 3 in your packet. And if you look on what's listed as page 12, so it's just 1 page back from the start of that, there is a figure that just basically summarizes the packet, and it gives you your SWOT different categories. And so when I reviewed that, I thought a lot of those things still exist in each category. I did think under threats, acceleration of concentration of high value added activity in metropolitan centers isn't necessarily a threat to us anymore post-COVID. I think that puts us more into the opportunities section. So instead of that, in my mind, I would put something more along the lines of metropolitan migration or out of urban areas and into more rural areas as an opportunity for the area. And then in my mind, one threat that I think we probably should think about putting into our strategic plan is the polarization of economic development. I think in the economic development community here in Schoharie, it seems that opinions are starting to polarize a little bit, and that is not to the benefit of the greater good. And I would put that as a threat in my opinion, as going through this as your executive director. But I'm certainly anxious to hear if the board has other concepts or ideas.
Well, I certainly agree that there are a lot of these that are still in effect, for sure.
Missing something, is housing here indicated?
I don't think that it's called out specifically, and I think that's a really good catch. Do you think it's a weakness or do you think it's a threat? I don't think it's a strength or an opportunity.
Yeah, right. Let's do it by process of elimination, as you suggest, but I would make it a threat action. We need housing, and we need housing that is amenable for the kind of good jobs that we hope to have here.
And that really aligns with the changes to the mission statement you made last month in putting housing as a consideration.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. We know there are any other, what we would consider weaknesses for this purpose. I don't know, other services. I'm a bug on this. Childcare, for example, to enable, both say a married couple or a couple to work, childcare, healthcare. I mean, I think we have healthcare, but childcare, commuting, I don't want to get on a soapbox, but I think a lot of times jobs require transportation that people don't have reliable transportation. And if we can, and there are commuting vans that companies have and some companies have that pick up people and bring them to their jobs, because that's the only way these people, qualified people, can get to work. So I'm a bug on that, and I don't think we have any of that.
No, we do.
Yeah, we
The
do.
county has, they do a very good job. They go from here to Albany, Schenectady. They come in about 6 o'clock downtown and pick up people. They have a bus full.
Well, that's
I'm not
good.
saying it's completely.
No, that's good news. That could even be something to be built on
They
if
do
we
a very
need
good
to.
job.
But I think that's a foundation that we have, and I'm sorry to not be
No,
aware of that. But I think it's a good thing. Because I hear that, right? People don't have a reliable transportation. They can't get to it. I'd love to have a job. So I think that's
They even come to the school, the college. They go to different parts of the county. They've done a great job.
That's great. That's really good.
Is that just daytime though? Is that during the day and not?
Well, it goes up into, I don't know how late, but it's certainly, I've seen them on the road at 7, 8, 9, so.
I think it's by contract.
But they do it based on need in certain areas, what they do.
And it's a base. I mean, if additional stuff, additional services are needed, there is a base to build on. I think that's wonderful. Thank you for that.
Maybe Joe, we put that over in the opportunities section, right? To
Yeah,
build off of.
that's fine. Yeah, that's great. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, Christine Kramer has a really nice program over there, and she works very hard to keep it relevant, right? Because trends change over time, and COVID was a really big deal for her and how she was going to address that. And I think she's really navigated that well.
Was that the garage that we looked at, Chet? Yeah,
No,
unfortunately, she had
she was-
18 openings and only eight drivers when we talked to her at that time. But it is, that's the place, okay.
Yeah, the concept is excellent. I mean,
Yeah, I know
the
it's one.
county. working to have that.
Not only that, doesn't cost the taxpayers anything. It runs for itself. And it doesn't.
Really?
Yes,
That's good.
she's done a fantastic job.
That's great.
The only way she couldn't expand here is if she couldn't get drivers, number one, but if there's a need, they could expand that.
Mm.
And it wouldn't cost the taxpayers. So,
Yeah, there's both state and federal money to be able to do that, and that really
That's
subsidizes.
certainly an
how-
opportunity then, right?
The childcare, the college offers childcare. I
Mhm.
don't know, what patients are in terms of numbers,
What cost?
but there is a cost. Obviously, there's a cost to everything, but there might be grant funding that would alleviate some of that. That I would see that as a possibility, as an opportunity.
As long as it's down here as something that
Yep, I think
we
that's
can
great.
provide.
Yeah, but I agree with that. Any other thoughts on this now?
All right, I will incorporate those in and we'll do another step next month. Thank you for that feedback. Very good.
Before we leave this, I think that Scott with his program here for workforce development. He's aimed at particular areas like entrepreneurship now and that, but he could probably easily gear up to be focused on skill needs of various industries that came in.
Mhm.
So I think the infrastructure is here. It just has to be the need and probably grant money to make that happen.
BOCES would be part of that too.
BOCES could be a part of it
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Anything else on planning process? Was that your full intent for this particular topic?
Yes, sir.
Other?
I do have one item. You'll recall that the IDA and the Obisco Ag Society have an agreement to purchase the land adjacent to where the village and town offices are on Mineral Springs Road. I was informed yesterday that the Ag Society does have the financing in place. And the lawyers are talking to schedule a date according to our amended agreement. They need to close before our next meeting, and I believe that's going to happen. So I just wanted to keep you updated on that, and I would imagine I can report next month that a check is in hand. That's the intent. I guess we'll find out what happens. Tune in.
Else?
No, sir. At this point, I would ask for executive session for 3 different reasons: proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, discussions regarding proposed pending or current litigation, and the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation.
Okay,
So
Sorry.
all in favor? Opposed? Hearing none, move to executive session is approved.
That's 9:39 according to my watch.
nice seeing you.
You too.
Sarah,
Thank you.
I'll ask you to hit the mute and the
I recognize you.
stop video button. Okay, we came out of executive session at 10:14, moved by Mr. Johnson, seconded by Mr. Trapani. Next regular meeting of the Industrial Development Agency is June 20th, 2024, at 9 a.m. here in the IDA offices at 104 Prentice Hall.
It's June 20th, right?
I got that right.
Yep.
I look at my calendar on the wall and sometimes I find myself looking at the wrong month.
Yeah, me too.
I do all the dates and then I look up again and say,
Where do you get to be 90 years old like me?
my God, 90. It seems like a lifetime away.
Do we have any further business? Mr. Chairman?
I believe so.
Yes, we went through everything. Executive session, there's nothing we will say about it. He's the executive director still, and we'll be pursuing the things that we talked about.
A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Peter,
Yes.
all in favor?
Like,
Opposed, hearing none, motion adjourned.
All right, thanks for the guidance.
10:15.
We'll get